When The Last Night premiered during Microsoft's E3 2017 showcase, it instantly became one of the most interesting reveals in recent memory. The trailer showcased a breathtaking fusion of hand-drawn pixel art characters, 3D lighting effects, and a neo-noir cyberpunk aesthetic that seemed nostalgic and revolutionary. But then, nothing. Years passed and only one question remained. Whatever happened to The Last Night? I remember watching that reveal live. I was a teenager and I was utterly mesmerized by the rain-slicked neon streets teeming with the holographic advertisements, with the seamless blend of the 2D sprites in the 3D space. It looked absolutely amazing. The game was supposed to be a cinematic platformer in the tradition of the other classic adventure games like Another World or Flashback, but with a modern twist that said, hey, we're not just a 2D pixel art game, we're a 3D pixel art game. Yet here we are, mid-2025, 8 years after that stunning debut with no release date in sight, only sporadic updates from its creator. So what happened to this game that seemed destined for greatness? The origins of The Last Night is a turbulent story. In 2014, two brothers, Tim and Adrian, developed their own Cyberpunk game in 6 days for the Game Genesis Game Jam. Inspired by the likes of The Matrix or Akira, it was a moody rooftop scene where you walk through this bar and kill your target. And the game absolutely blew up from there. The positive reception catapulted the brothers into forming their own studio and becoming full-time game developers. The setting of the game is supposed to be a post-cyberpunk world, an exploration of how society relied too much on machines and how the machines handle all the labor and luxuries of everyday life for the civilians. It's left humanity in an era of leisures, defining themselves by what they consume and not what they create. The full-time game promised real-time action scenes, real-time dialogue, NPCs remembering your conversations night after night, and building out the storyline through the game's 4 districts it was supposed to have. This all sounds incredibly complex for an indie studio, but at the time of its announcement in 2017, they had the backing of Microsoft, who wanted to help them publish the game. Unfortunately, in 2018, a year after the game's announcement, Tim Soret announced that there was a massive funding and business issues, forcing a delay in the cancellation of upcoming announcements and trailers for the game. The publisher, Raw Fury, announced their departure as well, leaving Tim Soret alone to self-publish this game with him and his brand new team. But years passed and there were no more updates. The last one being in December 2021, where Tim Soret said, "We are building The Last Night brick by brick. It is still coming out." But here's the problem. This game was announced for the Xbox One. We've had a whole console generation since then, one that's about to come to an end. So what's happened? So what caused all of this? Was it a ballooning budget? Was it a vision too big? Well, here's some insights. Troubling tweets surfaced hours after the trailer was released. Tim Soret talked about how feminism won and, Gamergate hashtags were used. It mentioned multiple mascots of extreme progressivism, and this put a bad taste in gamers and publishers' mouths. There was, of course, damage control, with Tim Soret issuing apologies, stating that the tweets didn't represent the game or where he was today at that time. And I think during this time of culture in 2017, where cancel culture was at its absolute peak, we see these events happen again and again. Did that push the game's funding to development hell? I'm not sure, but I think it's a big factor of everything that transpired after those events. And as the years rolled by, other game developers became inspired by The Last Night, thinking it was never going to come out. And that's where a game called Replaced comes in. During a new Xbox Bethesda E3 showcase, they revealed a brand new game which everyone thought was The Last Night, but it's entitled Replaced. It's another stunning 2.5D pixel art cyberpunk game. The similarities were striking, and it's very obvious that the developers borrowed heavily from the aesthetic of The Last Night. The studio Sad Cat Studios denied the plagiarism, but the timing felt cruel. Replaced announced years later and seemed poised to release first, overshadowing the very game that pioneered this aesthetic. Replaced is set to be released in December of 2025, so we'll see if the game gets delayed. Maybe the 2.5 pixel art game landscape is too tough. Maybe it's an impossible task, but I think this game is almost done, with gameplay and trailers being released constantly. So is this a massive disappointment, or hope and anticipation that a new game can take the Last Night's spot? Will the Last Night even come out? I don't have those answers. All I have is a hope that one day this game gets released regardless of the state it's in. The Last Night remains one of gaming's most poignant spectators, a masterpiece in the trailers, but we have never seen if the game will actually play like that. Is it going to be an epic benchmark-setting game, or will it continue to fade into obscurity? Only time will tell. Because right now, the Last Night's trailer seems to be the last time we'll ever see this game. I'm Videos E2. I hope you enjoyed this video and your meal. Thank you.